Greetings, everyone. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the latest episode in the Project Dramond series where I get everybody up to speed on all the things that are going on with Project Dramond. This today's update, is the final update, at least for the moment, um, on the classes of Project Dramond. This is the fourth update where we've talked about the various different types of classes that you can play in the tabletop game. These are not the same classes that are going to be showing up the um, in the adventure game, because the adventure game is a little different because we're just dealing with a single archetype character who's just a generic adventurer, and he's not even an adventurer yet. He's an adventurer to be. So it's a quest game and a puzzle game with lots of narration. So it's not about the classes. So these classes only apply to the tabletop game as well as the classes that we're putting into the book, because every individual character does have its own class. So this week's update is on the Paladin, the Templar, and the Warden. Now, you can find the full descriptions of this in the Patreon post below. It's the first link you're going to come across in the description text. And again, I don't give the full details here on YouTube. This is just kind of an overview skimmer, and then subscribers over on Patreon get the full details directly from the draft on the Google Drive, where you get to see all the juicy details of the class specifics. And again, these are all draft 1.0s, but be that as it may, we're moving forward and looking forward to getting everybody in on playtesting here pretty soon. At which point we're going to be going into, after the playtest, we'll go into draft 2. Where we'll take all the feedback from the playtest of the module and go in there and start making some tweaks to the classes and so on and so forth. All right, so without further ado, said Paladin, Templar, and Warden. Now remember, Paladins, Templars, Inquisitors, these are all classes from our version, what we're calling the Church of the Elder Ways, which is the only religious organization that was left over at the end of basically the eradication of the human species by their own hand. Um, and as a result, you don't have a variety of different religions like you would see in a traditional human society where lots of different gods and goddesses and whatever are worshipped. You have this singular entity that carried over, and they do have belief in a divine being. However, their power does not come from a divine source. Their power comes from the remnants of the quantum technology that they brought north with them from the remains of human kingdoms, the human kingdoms. And so their power source is the actual quantum realm, and they're pulling energy from there and using this quantum energy to perform magical feats. I have been working on the casting system um, for the church. That's still a work in progress right now, but they do require these relics in order to cast abilities. As such, when we look at the Paladin and the Templar from our tabletop setting, both of these entities function within the Church of the Elder Ways, but they don't have divine power. So you're not going to see a paladin casting, like divine power or, you know, lay on hands. There might be a lay on hands type ability, but it's not going to be called lay on hands. It'll be something different, um, because I am creating something completely from scratch from these guys. So the spells that they have operate much differently than the elemental magic does. So Paladins and Templars, the very quick explanations are that Paladins are kind of like the first sentence I have here in the tabletop is that Paladins are the workhorse of the Church of the Elder Ways. They are the most common, the most frequent. They're kind of like a warrior, a knight. They are the most commonly found um, type of individual you're gonna meet from the church. And then there are the Templars themselves, which are more commonly found in the officer positions. So you could think of them higher up in the food chain than the paladins are, and they're also less martially inclined and more delving into the use of quantum relics. So couple of distinctions there. And the third class we're coming to, which the name may change here, it's called the Warden. Um, I haven't decided what we're going to call this yet. It may stay this, it may change to something else. I briefly talked about this in a brainstorming episode with my brother a couple weeks back. The Warden is a pet class, which I've taken a little bit of liberty from a lot of different sources. The most commonly would probably be, looking at his dark materials. Um, I like the idea of this, when you're a kid, um, you get a um, basically some children. It's not incredibly common. Um, I wouldn't call it rare, but it's not common at the same time. It's an uncommon thing, but some children have or find that they have a unique bond with a specific animal creature, and once that happens, they can then talk to that animal fluently. Um, and this bond creates this basically this feedback loop, so to speak, where they both share the experiences of the other and they both sort of take on the personality traits of the other. And the animal will live as long as the human lives. Animals traditionally have a much um, did I say human? It's not correct. It could be human. But the animal will live as long as its owner does. Animals traditionally live less than any other race, but once they're bonded, they will live for as long as that bond is still there, and as long as I don't want to call it owner. I haven't come up with a better name for it yet. But especially in the viewpoint of the individual, not the animal, but the individual will take on characteristics of that creature. So if it's a sneaky creature, then that person will have sneaky abilities. And if that creature is more of a fighter type creature, then that individual will be more of a fighter. I'm still working out the details for that. I don't know if I'm going to come up with like a list of like 8 animals that are the animals that are most common. And then, of course, if someone wants to have something that's off the list, we can come up with a unique system for that. I'm thinking the better option is to just come up with like, you look at most traditional games where you have a pet class and there's usually like a bear, a wolf, a cat, like a familiar. You get to cast the spell and you get like 6 or 8 of these creatures that could come to your disposal, and those creatures have some set statistics. So I'll probably end up doing that to make it easy in terms of having, how do we deal with the main class of that character. So it's like, oh, if you get a wolf pet, you're going to be a ranger. If you get you're going to have ranger-like abilities. If you get a bear pet, you're going to be a tank. If you get an owl pet, you're going to be, I don't know, a mage. If you get a raven, or a cat, you're going to be like a thief. We'll figure that out. It's still a work in progress. But those are the 3 classes for this week's update. Don't forget to check out the Patreon post below for more details on that. And of course, stick around if you want to join in on the play testing. We're going to be doing a call to arms here in June sometime. We're going to be taking a maximum of 7 people. My brother's already reserved a spot, so um, we're going to have a total of 8. But since he's reserved a spot, we've got 7 more openings. We're going to be doing that one day per week or one night per week, depending on everybody's schedules. And then really, let's come down to it's going to be the schedule that works for my brother and I, and then whoever can fit into that schedule. There will be some flexibility there. We'll have, say 3 or 4 nights that we can choose from, but for the most part, we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be weekdays, weeknights, weekends. Don't know yet. We'll play that as we come closer to year. Well, that didn't sound right. We'll keep our ear out, and I don't know where that phrase came from. Um, we will know more as we get closer to that date. So stick around for all that. And anyways, before I make any more screw ups with my words this morning because I haven't had enough coffee. Thanks for following along. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon to get updates for more future updates. Check out the playlist below for Project Dramond. Here on YouTube, we've got over 50 videos already. And of course, pick up a subscription on Patreon and join in on the fun as we build out Project Dramond throughout the rest of this year. And check out social media for some more cool stuff from Chris, my brother, and myself. We'll see you in the next episode.